To call to order the Executive Committee meeting of Thursday, January 8th, 2015. We see a large contingent of public willing to speak. Any speaker cards?
No speakers.
Okay, then we'll bypass the public opportunity. We'll go to consent. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
A move and a second by my colleagues, Director Scheiger, Director Monk, or Director Wood. Any other questions about the consent?
None.
Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please call a roll on that one?
Director Scheidegger,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
and Gould.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, first action item is board, committee, and delegate appointments. We have polled the board, and it looks at this time, the executive committee is obviously set by the elections of last meeting, and so those will reflect in 2015 the three members of myself, the vice president, and the secretary. We now move to the finance committee. Director Jones is asked to remain on that committee, Director Monk as well, and we're going to have Director Wood maintain himself on that finance committee as well, with Delman Clark as the alternate. Moving on to the policy committee, we're going to appoint or at least assign Director Barnes to fill that role in the policy committee. I'll maintain a presence there, and Director Scheidegger will as well. Director Monk will maintain the alternate status. So that's the finance and policy committees. Questions, Melissa? Anything related to that? Okay.
No, but we will need a motion to assign Director Barnes to that committee.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we assign Director Barnes to the policy committee.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a first and a second on the assignment of Director Barnes to the policy committee. Do we want to finish all of these and then take an action item, take a roll call?
We could do it that way.
Okay. Or do we need to have it recorded that we vote every single time we make an appointment to each of these different groups? What's your preference?
I would say you could do it either way, whatever your pleasure is.
Let's just do it at one time so that we don't have to keep calling the roll. I have no change requested relative to the Regional Comm Center JPA. I'm believing that Chief Holbrook will maintain our primary representative, and Director Monk will be the alternate. Director Kelly has mentioned that he would prefer to remain as our representative on the California Fire and Rescue JPA. I'll remain as the alternate. I believe the 2x2 committees, unless I'm hearing objection, will remain intact. It only makes sense, as Director Wood said, for me not to be the representative to Rancho Cordova. I agree with that. So we'll continue with that. And then Director Monk approached me, and we are unsure if we need to maintain this current assignment or not, but we have a Reserve Firefighter Qualification Review Commission. It sounds outstanding, but we haven't had a meeting in I don't know how many decades, 4 months, years at least. So I'm not sure. Chief, do you have any idea of whether if we need to maintain this in an ongoing basis, or should we just potentially remove this until we are approached by your administration to make an assignment? What's your preference there?
From my perspective, I think that underneath the auspice of the operations and the command staff to discuss the qualifications, certs, and quals for the reserves is adequate, in my opinion.
Okay.
It depends. I totally defer to the, to the direction of the board. If you wanted further oversight than that, but I think that would be sufficient.
And then I look at the agenda, and it says, in conjunction with requirements of PERS Volunteer Fire Service Award Program, there's a resolution. So that makes me concerned that there's a resolution in play here that requires, as part of the PERS Volunteer Firefighter Service Award Program, that a director be on that commission. Anyone? What do you think?
I would honestly tell you, I don't have any insight on that. I think that perhaps before we table it, we might want to get that answered. And then
and I just
potentially
only because
it.
the resolution is identified. I think let's not. So, Director Monk, if it's all right with you, we're going to leave you as a delegate to that commission until we get further information of whether we need to maintain it or not. Sound good? Okay, and then moving on, we have one final group that we sent a representative to, and that's California Special Districts Association, and we have sent in the past a director, and that director no longer serves, and so my question is, do we need to make an assignment tonight, or can we table that particular assignment until either we hear from CSDA or we make a decision what to do? Melissa, you shook your head to the affirmative, so I'm thinking we just table it until we hear more from CSDA?
Yes, I believe CSDA would need to solicit us for a member that would
Paige.
serve, yes.
Does that sound okay to you guys?
Sounds good to me. And
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I would thus move to amend my earlier motion
Okay,
to be inclusive of all of the nominees as you just delineated.
okay.
I will second that.
All right, so we have a first and a second on action item number 1, the only action item for the exec committee tonight, with special note that we are going to table any action on both the Reserve Commission and CSDA's assignment, and we will get back to those at a later date. With that, any questions relative to this action item, gentlemen? If not,
Did you skip over the FDAC?
who's in,
Delegate to the Fire District Association.
that,
California.
well, I think that's the one that we just talked about, the CSDA, the California Special Districts Association.
They're different
I believe they're
associations.
separate, aren't they? They're separate.
They're separate?
Yeah.
So those are two items. So I think we're in the same situation then, is that we have to wait until those particular associations come back to us with a demand for a new assignment.
I would agree with that. And why don't we go ahead and just say that we'll come back on both of those?
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for this board to participate at that level. I would highly encourage us to want to seek those positions.
Sure.
To
No
be
doubt.
representative up and down the state.
Right, no doubt. Okay, so with that, we have a first and a second that we will approve all of the assignments as made, and we will hold off on the commission and the 2 association assignments. Questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Scheidegger,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
and Gould.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Our next meeting is to be announced, and that concludes the executive special meeting for January 8, 2015. Thank you very much.